Well, welcome to our house. We have it on the market. We helped design and build it. It's a very unique house, very energy efficient, very well built. I think this house will last well over a century with minimal upkeep.
Hope you can watch the video and you'll see a few more things that aren't in the
Send money.
MLS about the house.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allender, and this is my house that I designed and built. We moved here in 1990 to Conway, Arkansas. I took a job at the University of Central Arkansas. My wife, being an RN, quickly picked up a nursing job in Little Rock at Arkansas Children's. And so as soon as we got here, we rented for a year or two, but we wanted to build a house. So looking for a piece of land, we wanted to be near the interstate for my wife to drive down to Little Rock, on the south side of Conway, which is near the university. And this 5.3 acres came open, and we jumped on it immediately. It's got beautiful big trees, a stream running through it. It's inside Conway city limits, which means our daughter would go to the Conway school system, which is one of the best in the state. And also Conway Corporation has the lowest electric rates in the state, and their internet and services are just incredible for the low taxes we pay here. I'm 3.5 miles from campus. My wife is 3.5 miles from the interstate access and another 27 miles to her job in Little Rock, so it was a good compromise. As soon as we bought the land, then we just had to think about where will we place the house and how will we build the house. My wife and I were raised in Wisconsin, and so the type of house that is typical in the North Country would have a basement and would have a large walk-in attic and probably 2 stories. Not common in the South because of the low percolation and the heavy clay of the soils. Basements often leak. So we wanted to find a site where we could get down to bedrock and with double French drains avoid the leakage. Why bedrock? I'm on the Arkansas Governor's Council for a new Madrid seismic event. I also teach natural hazards courses, and I'm a disaster responder for the Red Cross. So I've been to many situations where either a flood or a tornado or a hurricane has messed with the buildings and the community. In this part of the United States, you don't think of earthquakes, but if you're not from Arkansas, you may not have heard of the New Madrid Fault Zone. It's way over in the northeast corner of the state. 200 years ago, they had a series of 4 major earthquakes, but who the heck lived in Arkansas in 1812 and 1813, so it never made much news. On our Earthquake Advisory Board, we meet twice a year. We bring in the state geologists, and their best estimates are that there's between a 7 and 10% chance of the New Madrid Fault Zone having a major quake, which would be 7.5 or higher on the Richter scale, in the next 50 years. So what does that basically mean? Less than 10%, a small chance, over half a century, very little chance of it happening. Also, we're well over 100 miles away. If it happened today, would buildings collapse and fall down? Probably not. Some poorly built houses on fill are going to have foundation cracks and cracks in the walls and maybe a few windows popping out. But if you can build on bedrock, you can mitigate a lot of the problems with earthquakes. So we wanted to find a place where we could get to bedrock within 5 or 6 feet, have a basement, but have a very solid foundation in the rare chance that an earthquake does occur in the next half century. The reason I like to take a picture down here is the west, north, and east side of the house has poured concrete walls. We did not pour the floor first and put the wall on the floor. We poured the walls first and then would lay the floor later. On the other side of the wall, when they were dried, we dug down a little deeper and put in double French drains that go in both directions around the house and carry the water out to the woods just to the south. Then when that was done, they came back and they poured the slab at the bottom. So for water to come in, they would have to go down below the French drains, under the walls, up, and then over the floors. We've been here for 33 years now. We have never had a single drop come in. And if it ever did happen, we also had a drain put in right here, in case it was a disaster with the well pump or the water heater, which has never happened. But the floor has a slight cant to it, so if water ever did come in, it would go here and again drain underground out to the woods. When we decided to start building, we found the largest backhoe in Faulkner County. Here's a picture of myself and my daughter sitting in the bucket. And it took them almost 2 days of raising that thing 20 feet in the air and crashing down to chip their way down to bedrock. You can see there's another picture. I'm with my daughter and wife, and we're standing in the basement, or what would become the basement, but we weren't there yet. We still had to dig about another 2 feet down to get to bedrock. We have access to all the plumbing on the second floor through 2 areas. One is, notice this is not normal wall board. These are sheets of plywood with screws. You unscrew those and you have access to all the guest bathroom plumbing from below. Then also, this shelf is not screwed in. You can pop it up, you can pull this out, and you have to crawl in, but once you're in, you can stand up and you can follow all the venting and pipes, water flow up and down into the second floor, and you can access the master bath. You can access from below. So the idea is you don't have to punch through the wall at any time to get at any plumbing. You can do everything from below. The south wall has a lot of windows. That's where the main forest is. And they're placed in such a way that there's a 3-foot overhang from the second floor canting out, and then a 3-foot overhang from the roof. So in summer, these windows are mostly in shade from the overhangs. In winter, when the sun angle is much lower and the leaves are off the trees, by the way, it's all deciduous trees. I removed all the pines and cedars, the evergreens. The sun can come in, so we get passive solar heating in winter and shade in summer. Also, we have 29 windows in the house. Majority of them will open with screens. For example, every bedroom has at least 2 windows on 2 separate walls for cross ventilation. We also have a huge attic fan, and so for a month or 2 every spring or fall, you can open the windows, turn on the attic fan, and you can cool the house at night, or you could warm it up if you do this during the day. We like to spend a lot of time outdoors, and so right out of the front door, we have a 40-foot by 10-foot porch, partially covered in case it rains, but half of it's open. 10 feet off the ground. I like a raised porch. It keeps the insect and mosquito population a little less than it would be at ground level. We also have a 15-foot by 5-foot porch off the master bedroom that's 20 feet in the air, looking off to the west. So depending on if the sun's on the east or west side of the house, we can always find sun or shade, and we spend half our lives out there, especially the front porch.
So what is your favorite thing about living here?
I have a lot of happy memories here, but one thing that's happened so frequently is on winter mornings I'll get up, Jeff's still sleeping maybe, and I'll come downstairs, come in the kitchen, turn on my coffee pot, and while the coffee's brewing, I look out the kitchen window over the sink, and many mornings there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 deer out there. It's just so cool. I can look out the window and stare at them, and they stare back at me. And then my coffee's ready, and then I can walk in the living room, and I had a big comfy chair that sat next to the stove with a big ottoman and everything. I lived in that chair. In the winter, yes. And it's angled so I can look out the front window at the same time I'm sitting in the chair. And I can sit in the chair, drink my coffee, and watch the sunrise through the front window. It's really pretty, and it's just like peaceful and quiet. The house is quiet, and it's just one of my favorite memories, and that happened frequently. That was many winter mornings that I did that. So I loved that, and I'll miss that about the house. That was a favorite for me.
We have a lot of wildlife here. Deer is just one of them. We see them almost every morning. They're going from the woods across the road to, there's a couple hundred acres undeveloped on that side. And then every evening they come back again. And in spring there'll be a fawn following them and such. One of my favorite pictures of that is looking out the kitchen window. If you look closely, you'll count 8 does in the front yard. And what I find funny about it was, opening day of deer season, where are all the bucks? They're in the woods. Where are all the deer hunters? In the woods. Where are all the does? In the front yard where they're not going to get shot. Proof once again that women are smarter than men, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We also have red-tailed hawks, and you hear them all the time. They have been nesting in our yard for probably 25 years now, especially when the crows find them. They have some grand small fights up in the trees, the two of them fighting. But we hear red-tailed hawks all the time. The hummingbirds in the summer. In winter, we put bird feeders up here, and they are waiting in line. We have 8 or 10 common species, and maybe 15 or 20 unique species will show up from time to time. So kind of a beautiful wildlife place, and we can watch it through the kitchen window, or we can come out here and be part of it.
When my daughter turned 18, she was in high school, and we asked her what kind of party she wanted for her 18th, and she decided she wanted to have a camp out. So we, the girls all pitched their tents on the other side. They were in the field. They weren't really in the woods, but they were right on the edge of it in the field. And then this was a big fire pit, and they decided that they were going to come into the house once, like at night, brush their teeth, go to the bathroom, and then they weren't going to come in all night long. They were going to stay and camp in their little tents. And then in the morning, Jeff and I came down and brought breakfast down here. We brought coolers with stuff, and they had their breakfast around the fire in the morning. She loved it. It was perfect. Cheap, easy, and a lot of fun. I don't know, the word didn't get out. There were probably 6, 8, probably at least 8 of them. It was the craziest.
Are you sure they didn't have boys?
Yeah, well, we would have seen.
Maybe when Katie watches this video, she'll comment and tell you if there were boys.
Yeah.